fly in the ninth, and Trevor Thompson and his friends have caught up with him in the Tigers clubhouse.
Did you feel, based on what you saw, that you would be able to do that based on what he was pitching you?
Yeah, I wasn't. I mean, the first pitch he threw a pretty good slider, and I was just trying to look for a fastball to hit and was able to get one.
I saw you like take a deep breath in the batter's box. Did you?
You got to relax in that situation. I mean, it's with the game on the line, 45,000 people going nuts. I mean, you just have to try to relax, calm yourself down, and get a good pitch.
Even as a role player, do you embrace a moment like that?
Oh, you definitely do. If you know, those are the moments that you live for. That's why you play the game. You know, just to be out there and be able to help the team any way you can, and especially with the game on the line like that.
Talk about the emotions of this game, Don. I mean, it was really all over the place. I mean, a lot of wild pitches, strange kind of plays, the Coco drop.
It was. I mean, it's the playoffs. Everything, all the tension's high, and I mean, you have to try to calm yourself down, like I said, and it just happens. I mean, wild pitches, plays. I mean, Danny Worth made a heck of a play there, coming in cold off the bench, able to get a second out at second base. So I mean, you just have to try to relax and do your job as best you can.
Don, how rewarding is it to look back at your season, and you weren't here all year, but you stuck with this and then have a moment like this for yourself and your club?
That's been my whole career. Just keep on grinding it, battling it, and you know, I was able to come through tonight.
2 years ago, when you're at first base and your whole team's coming out to run.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, you can't beat that, and 45,000 people going nuts. It's a great feeling.
2 years in a row now, Don, that you've stepped up in the ALDS with a big hit. What is it about your makeup that allows you to step up in those situations?
You know, I'm thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for that. I mean, it's who I am, going up and down my whole career. This year, the same thing, just going down there, and that's where I draw my strength, is from that.
Don, they're supposed to have.
To get your number called the pinch run for Dell in that situation, and a guy like Mary?
You know, the way it was working out is that they were going to have a righty in there, and I think Skip wanted Quentin to hit for Garcia later on, so I think that's probably why that happened. Not sure, but you know, I was just ready to run or hit or do whatever I needed to do.
What did Jim say to you after the game? I mean, he's made it no secret that he's a huge fan of yours, not just as a ball player, but as a guy.
You know, it's just come out. I bring the same thing every day. You know, I haven't changed who I am, whether I'm up or down or whatever it is. Obviously, this year has been a little tough from a number standpoint, but you know, we're here now and just trying to win ball games.
They're supposed to have.
To you after the game?
No, he just gave me a big hug. I mean, I don't think he really needs to say anything more than that.
Don, they're supposed to have home field advantage, but you guys take the first two here. How much of a disadvantage is it when you look back at it, the way that things are unfolding right now for them?
Yeah, it is. It's tough. I mean, they have to go home and win 3. You know, they just beat Texas 3 in a row at home to win the division, so it's not like it's going to be a cakewalk out there. We still have to continue to play our game, and you know, it's not going to be easy. It's better to be able to get 1 now than have to go out there and win 2.
You watch this unfold. Is your heart beating as you're getting ready to get into that position? Are you?
I think everybody's heart's beating, especially mine going up there. But that's like you were talking about, taking a deep breath and trying to relax when you get in the batter's box.
Is there any...
Good for Don Kelly. He's also today's Tigers Player of the Game, presented by Arby's. His first career walk-off postseason run batted in, and he deserves all the accolades today. All right, coming up next, we will take you back to the ballpark. Miguel Cabrera was his Triple Crown winning self today, and John and Mario will look back on Omar Infante's afternoon. That and more next on Tigers Live.
We'll get to that in just a second. I have to tell you, watching a game with Mario Impemba, when Mario Impemba isn't actually, you know, doing the game, is very interesting. You were a mess watching this game.
You know, I was a mess, John, and there's a feeling that you have control when you're broadcasting a game, and there's a feeling that
true? Are you in control?
Yeah, you know, I can't jinx the team or anything like that. I control what's happening on the field. You can't do that when you're sitting on the side just watching the game. It is very nerve-wracking.
Well, I think the people from Disney want to talk to Don Kelly at some point this afternoon, because this was one of those storybook endings, and this is a guy that's been up and down. Obviously he's one of our favorite people just because of the quality of human that he is, but to see him come back from Toledo and get put in that kind of a position and come through to that degree, that's special stuff.
Yeah, it really is, John. I mean, this is a guy that was designated for assignment earlier this year, and all of a sudden he's up in probably the biggest at-bat that he's going to have all season, and maybe in his career, and he comes through. Now, the inning before, Jim Leland took 4 of his regulars out of the game, either to pinch run or to pinch hit, and that left him with Kelly in that spot after they walked Prince Fielder. You knew he was going to put the bat on the ball. That's what Don Kelly does. He doesn't strike out in those situations. He put the bat on the ball deep enough to get that run in, and it was just great to see a guy like Don Kelly get his moments.
And when they intentionally walk Prince Fielder to get to you, Man, you're wearing the weight of the world.
You are indeed. You know, Quentin Berry had a big pinch hit at bat the inning before, and he struck out. You know, and there's something about coming into a ball game, and it wasn't an easy at bat. Believe me, Grant Belfour was out there. He's one of the top closers in the league, and you've got to deal with him. You haven't had an at bat the entire game, so you're still fairly cold. It was a really good at bat for Donnie.
Omar Infante scores the winning run on the sac fly by Don Kelly, but that was only a part of his day at the office.
Yeah, it really was. You know, he turned a ball in the 8th inning that almost was a double play for the Tigers, but he's so much improved now late in the season defensively. But he got the base hit with a 2-strike count in the 8th inning, which brought up Miguel Cabrera, and that ended up with a fly ball to center field, dropping off the glove of Coco Crisp. 2-run score. That was a big hit. Then, of course, the base hit after the Jackson strikeout of the 9th that got him rolling.
It was a thrilling finish, but this game will not be looked upon as baseball art.
It will not. 2 wild pitches. Nobody seemed to want to grab a hold of this game. Benoit could not hold it in the 8th inning, and of course Belfour could not do it in the 9th inning. This was not a pretty game, but in the end, you don't have to win pretty games in the playoffs. You have to win games in the playoffs. Now the Tigers are up 2-0.
This is really a tough loss for Oakland, going all the way back across the country.
Well, you got to think about the fact they really needed this game today, John, because now at the very best, they can force a Game 5 and face Justin Verlander. So that's not really going to be easy for them to do. They needed this game here this afternoon. The Tigers take 2. Now they're really sitting pretty the rest of the season.
All right, we'll do some more meandering here as we get some more thoughts together from Comerica Park, but now back to Mickey York in the Call Sam Studios.
All right, guys, thank you very much. Yeah, a lot of grit and determination showed by the Tigers today. They had an answer for everything the A's threw at them this afternoon. And, guys, just to follow up on what Mario and John were talking about a moment there, Omar Infante batting second today. We wondered how that might affect the top of the order with Quentin Berry out, but lo and behold, he goes 2 for 5 with 2 runs scored. Austin Jackson a hit and a run scored. They were just fine, and once they got something going, so did the Tigers offense. No coincidence.
I've always loved Omar Infante. I've always loved his game. Here's a guy that when he left here the first time, Jim Leland didn't think he played with enough energy, but when he came back from the Miami Marlins, he was much more mature. Here's a guy that really started to learn how to hit the ball the opposite way. He was fielding his position much better down the strength, and he was huge today, getting on base ahead of Cabrera because he put Cabrera in situations where Oakland A's had to pitch to him.
Well, I feel like I've seen this a lot, obviously getting a chance to play with him. And when you talk about his swing, here's a guy that doesn't have a lot of movement in his swing. He's A to B, straight to the baseball, and that's why he's allowed to do these things that as he's, like you said, as he's grown up a little bit in Miami, he plays with a little bit more of that enthusiasm and fire that you need. So down the stretch here, look for him to continue to grow and get better and be a big part of this down the stretch.
You know, and so far in the first 2 games of this series, we were concerned that it might just be the Prince and Miggy show. It has not been that. The bottom of the order came up big yesterday. Guys like Omar Infante coming through big today. You need those contributions in the postseason. So far, the Tigers have been getting them. All right, up next on Tigers Live, we'll take you back to the ballpark and take you to Jim Leland's post-game press conference. More with Mario Pemba and John as well. That and more when our Game 2 post-game coverage continues right after this. He was a pinch runner, and I know at the time what you were thinking when they brought in Don Kelly to pinch run for Delman Young. You were screaming. You thought Jim Leland was out of his mind. Did you recognize the method to his madness at that point, Rod?
No, not at the time. I have to be perfectly honest with you. I'm thinking to myself, Quentin Berry, he will steal second base. This guy's been perfect all year long, but that's what managers get paid the big bucks for. Jim Leland knew exactly what Bob Melvin's bullpen was like. He knew exactly who would come into the game. He wanted to put Berry in a situation where he would pinch hit for Garcia. Although Berry struck out, Berry did get 2 hits yesterday, and he felt like Berry was a better option there to swing the bat than Don Kelly, and that's why Jim's a very good manager, because you have to look ahead. You just can't look at that one play at the moment.
And that's why I give him a lot of credit. Obviously, getting a chance to play for him, this is what he does. He masterminds, and you're second guessing, but at the end of the day, he finds a way to put guys in situations where they can succeed.
Jim Leland, a little clairvoyant, perhaps able to see into the future now among his many talents. Jim talking about some of those tough decisions he had to make in the 8th inning as we take you to his post-game press conference back at Comerica.
Well, I was obviously using Berry to hit for Garcia, so I didn't want to run him there. I didn't want to run him first for Delman Young, if that's what you mean. So I was saving Berry to pinch hit for Garcia, which is what I ended up doing. If I'd have run him, I wouldn't have been able to pinch hit him.
Could you have gone, though, with even Avila at that point and still had your substitution in place for a pinch hit for Avila, or for Laird? Had you followed up with Berry pinch hitting for Laird and then had...
Well, the question is, I think what the question you're getting to is, You hit Barry first instead of Avila? Is that what you're talking about?
That's what I meant was, yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about pinch running. Pinch running has nothing to do with it, and that's a very good question. That's one of those catch-22s. I felt like Barry, I wasn't sure if they'd walk Alex if I hit him first. I felt like Barry had a better chance of slapping the ball somewhere and not striking out, which he ended up doing, than Alex, and that's why I hit him first.
Fourth row on the right.
Yeah, Jim, going back to the 8th inning again, are you concerned with where your pen is at right now? Benoit struggled once again. Is there a concern that he's unable to
Not at all. No, I'm not concerned. It is what it is. He's our guy. I totally believe in him. I totally believe in our entire bullpen, and that's not going to change. That's our team. That's what we are. That's who we are. And, you know, Benoit was fantastic 14 hours ago. So, no, I don't have any questions about that whatsoever.
There's not an issue with him with his arm or anything? Everything's...
I'm sorry?
There's not an issue with his arm or anything?
No, no physical issues whatsoever.
Back on the left.
Hi, Jim. Was there any thought to using Porcello in today's game, or are you saving him for Game 4, possibly?
No, there was no thought in using him as this game played out. Absolutely not. But it could have turned out, if this lingers on, that that's what he'd be down there for. You have a starter that might be able to pitch 3 or 4 innings in case you use your other short guys. Then you have that starter to go into extra innings, and if you need 4 or 5 innings, you can get it. That happened to us actually in 2009, I believe, with the Minnesota thing. We had to extend Rodney 4 innings out. This way, that's one of the reasons Porcello was left on here, either long righty or a situation like today where if the game gets extended, you got a guy that's not a 1-inning guy. He can go out and pitch 4 or 5 innings if that happens. And it can happen, believe me.
Back on the right.
Jim, talk about, you got a team of stars with Verlander and Cabrera and Fielder, but Don Kelly was designated for assignment. Quentin Berry was almost out of baseball. Danny Worth has been up and down. I know he knows where Monroe is by now. Just talk about, because Worth made a really good play. Kelly, that wasn't an easy spot. And Berry had some big plays yesterday.
Well, that's, I mean, I've always emphasized that since I've been here. That's what a team's all about. You know, everybody making contributions. What gets lost in the shuffle of this game, I think, is the fact that Danny Worth made a hell of a play and got the force at second. A tremendous play to get the force out at second. So, you know, it takes everybody, you know, to contribute, and we got contributions from everybody. So, you know, that's a good thing. That's what a team's all about, and, you know, we're playing one hell of a team. You saw them today. They, you know, they're not going to cash it in. I can, trust me. Their manager's tough. Their players are tough. And we got a long, long way to go yet. So this is a nice win for us, but we got a lot of work to do. They'll be waiting for us at the Coliseum, and we got to win a game somehow.
Well, the Tigers and Jim Leland earn their cash today. Up next on Tigers Live, we'll visit with Miguel Cabrera. He wore the A's out tonight. We'll show you how he did it as well when we come back.
Ball. The 7th.
What a huge moment that was for the Tigers. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Oh, no, check that. Miguel Cabrera is real good. But after going a combined 0 for 7, he and Prince in Game 1, you were willing to bet the house that wouldn't happen in Game 2, and it didn't. Miggy comes back with a 3-hit afternoon, and he had that little episode transpire for him as well this afternoon.
You know, that's just what we said yesterday when we closed off the show. We talked about the fact that these two guys, Prince and also Miguel Cabrera, they would get loose in the game today. And if you're Cabrera, he came in with a load of confidence against the Oakland Athletics team, nearly hitting .483 before the series began. But take a look at this at-bat right here. A lot of the Tigers were having a difficult time of feeling out Malone today, but Cabrera wasn't one of those. He sat on one pitch this entire at-bat, and it was with the 3-2 count, and he finally got that pitch, and he ripped a double into the left center field gap. That's what sets Miguel Cabrera apart from most. We're also going to show you Cabrera earlier this season, just a couple of weeks ago. This was against the Oakland Athletics as well. Same pitcher, 2 at-bats. One at-bat, the next at-bat. But take a look here. This is where it gets interesting. On one of the at-bats, he knows he's going to get a breaking ball, so he keeps the heel on the ground. The next one, he picks the foot up. One was a big fly to the left. The other one was a double into right center field. So, Craig, for me, that's what really sets Miguel Cabrera apart from most, is when most guys have a difficult time of figuring out the starter, he's the one guy that's all over him.
Well, he's just a smart hitter, right? But when you're able to drive the ball as well as he is to center field and the right center, like lefties, especially on the pull side, you're a different hitter. And when you come inside there, especially with your off speed and your breaking ball, all you do is speed up his back because you never see his hand go away from his body. He always keeps his hands in tight, stays inside the ball, and that's why we're talking Triple Crown this year.
And maybe that's why he has such a smooth swing, too. It's never violent, so nice and easy, and yet the ball.
And for a guy that size, that's remarkable. I mean, when's the last time you saw him off balance when taking a swing?
Yeah, it's like a pure golf swing. I'm really envious. I wish I could take that to the tee with me one of these days, but that's probably never going to happen. He becomes the first Tiger to have 2 doubles in a playoff game since the mayor did it, Sean Casey. And back in the clubhouse, the media has caught up with Miguel for tonight's Bell Tire player interview.
I don't know, we always positive what we can do in the field. We always positive we can score wrong, and when they attack, we get lucky and attack again.
Thank you.
Miguel, can you...
So much emotion, he lifted up Fielder at the end. Don Kelly said he lifted Fielder when he was celebrating.
Oh, I don't see that. You see that? No, I don't see that.
I didn't see, but that's what Don Kelly said, and Fielder said, yeah, that's true.
Yeah? Oh. Nice.
It must feel great going 2-0 and going out there now.
No, yes, I feel great, but it's not done yet, man. We gotta go out there, and we know we're gonna face a tough thing in Oakland, tough stadium, so we gotta go out there and battle.
They won 3 straight from Texas there. Is that in the back of your mind?
We won 2. Yeah. We don't have to worry. We gotta go out there and play hard.
Miggy, what do you like best about the way your team played the first 2 games of this series?
What I like more?
Yeah, about the way your team played in the first 2 games.
Oh, we win. That's what I like more. It's all about win games. Wins, get W's.
What have they shown you about the makeup that they have on their side?
What showed me what?
What have they shown you about the way they're going to take this series and the way that they're playing?
Oh, we know it's not going to be easy. We know we got to fight to win this. We know in the playoff. I think nobody give credit to that team because they do so great in the season. Why they don't give credit right now? We know we face a tough team. We got a lot of respect for that guys. They're young. They got a lot of energy. We in the playoff. That means they rookies. They veteran. We really don't pay attention now. We know we're gonna face a tough team, and we got to battle with this guy. We got to battle.
Tell me what your
Miguel Cabrera's back getting the job done today. And by the way, you can now own a special bat marking Miguel Cabrera's Triple Crown run. It's officially licensed by Miguel Cabrera in Major League Baseball. The offer is limited to 5,000 individually numbered bats. It's $110 plus shipping and handling. Call 866-280-BATS or log on to BigTimeBats.com. But up next on Tigers Live, we'll get in on your Twitter chatter. One of those Cocoa Crisp errors got him buzzing today. Plus, Prince Fielder will join us from the clubhouse in just a couple of minutes. Miller Time brought to you by Miller Lite. And, of course, the moment of the game was brought to you by Don Kelly, the sacrifice fly with 1 out and the bases loaded in the bottom of the ninth to win it for the Detroit Tigers, giving them a 2-0 lead in this series. That no doubt had Twitter buzzing today. And here's what else people were talking about during today's game. B.C. Williams saying there are going to be so many what-ifs after today's game. This is an amazing game. Well, some of those what-ifs got erased after the Tigers won the thing, Craig.
Well, there's going to be some emotion. Obviously, there's going to be some nerve. But the team that finds a way to control those emotions and get it done will win a lot of games.
And more think says, I'm not sure anybody has ever made hitting a baseball look easier than Miguel Cabrera. We were just talking about that, Rod.
He's awfully special. This guy won the Triple Crown, first Triple Crown winner since 1967. And for the last 5 years, since he has had a Tigers uniform on, I have said he is simply the best hitter on the planet.
And the Tigers do find a way to get it done today. You know, they beat an Oakland A's team that set an American League record for strikeouts during the regular season. And through the first 2 games of this series, they whiffed 23 times. But the toughest ball they hit today was the one in the dirt. Who knew the wild pitch would play a starring role in a wild game? The Tigers, by the way, finished the afternoon just 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position. But that one hit was delivered by Prince Fielder, and Trevor Thompson has caught up with him in the Tigers clubhouse.
Prince, take us through what's going on in the dugout when you guys get 2 in the 7th, give them back in the 8th, and how you stay composed and come back after that.
Oh, well, you just gotta try to stay, even until the game's over. You always have a shot, clearly, as we saw today. So just try to play hard until the game's over.
Skipper is one guy who's going to play everybody in the lineup, and he plays Don Kelly today. He comes through. How big is it for you guys to see a role player like that come and have a moment like this at this time of the year for you?
Oh, well, that's why he's here, you know, because that's what Don does. I mean, you know, Don, you know, he gets the job done. So I'm just happy we won today.
They're supposed to have home field advantage in this thing, but you have taken the first two at home and taken home field advantage away. About the setup and how it plays out, your thoughts on that right now with the new format?
It's fine for me.
Don Kelly said in all the celebration he lifted you up.
Yeah, he did. He really did. He was strong.
Must feel great for a guy like that to come through in that kind of a moment.
Oh yeah, Don. No, you know, Don's a great. You know, he's a great player. So you know, I didn't doubt it a bit.
Can you describe the feeling when that ball goes in the air and you basically know Omar's going to score?
Yeah.
There's those 10 seconds where you're not sure what's that like.
Well, it's like we're just waiting for it to be over. You know, because obviously, like you said, we figured Omi was going to score, but you know, you never know. Something could have tripped, shoe fell off, something. So we just got to make sure.
Makes for a better flight.
Definitely, yeah, nice flight.
Can you talk about Malone and the job he did? Only give up 5 hits the 6 innings that he was in there.
Yeah, he did well. You know, he didn't throw too many mistakes. You know, his cutter, I believe, was working good. Yeah, I mean, you know, he pitched well.
What about Pfister? Another strong outing for him. What did you see there?
He pitched well also. I mean, same thing. Didn't give up too many mistakes. And when pitchers aren't, you know, throwing mistakes, that's what's going to happen. Close games.
You know, throughout this game, you respond.
All right, well, Joaquin Benoit was in line to be the GOAT today before Don Kelly became the hero. We'll hear from Joaquin about that interesting 8th inning when we come back.
Home run. Josh Reddick on a 3-2 pitch gives the A's a 4-3 lead here in the 8th.
Yeah, you could hear the disappointment in Dan Dickerson's voice. That Reddick home run came 1 pitch after Joaquin Benoit uncorked a wild pitch to tie the game at 3. And he was good in game 1, but Rod, it didn't get it done today. It didn't end up costing the Tigers, fortunately, but he's a lot of few home runs here towards the latter part of the season. Is that a concern going forward?
No, not for me. I mean, he has allowed some big flies this year, but Jim Leland still has a lot of trust in him. And Benoit, for me, has been one of the best setup men in all of baseball the last 3 years. But I think what happened to him was Cespedes getting the single and then stealing second and third. And then after he threw the wild pitch, he hung a changeup to Reddick. Reddick had not made contact all series long. And I think Benoit just kind of got caught in a situation where that wild pitch affected that next pitch that he threw, and it cost him a big fly.
Well, that's exactly what's going to happen. I mean, you're in the big leagues. In this level, if you're not executing your pitch, especially when you have that Bugs Bunny changeup like he does, if he doesn't execute it and put it in a good spot, those are the things that's going to happen. And Reddick jumped on one today.
Do you think the next time he goes out there and it's a situation where there's a runner on first base, he's going to be preoccupied too much with that base runner because they stole 2 bases today?
Well, it'll definitely be on his mind, Rob. But I think he understands his job, and his job is to go out and be the guy in the 8th inning to shut that run down, shut the game down. And I don't think he will.
He's so deliberate, though, going to the mound. Doesn't that make him an easy target for stolen bases?
Absolutely. Yeah. But, I mean, one of the things that he has to do, he has to limit the amount of base runners that get on against him. And usually he's pretty good at that. He gives up home runs, but he usually doesn't give up a lot of singles within the inning. Benoit's usually give up a home run or he gets a strikeout.
And Joaquin talking about that 8th inning, how it all unfolded in the Tigers clubhouse.
The only bad thing that got in my head was when he scored. I mean, if he's on the bases, I don't really mind. I just focus on the guy on the plate.
The one he stole second and third, he looked like he was halfway down the line when you were coming over with your motion.
Yeah, it's just probably a mental mistake for me because, yeah, it's something that I need to put more attention in. It's not going to happen anymore.
What happened with the wild pitch?
Threw a changeup and I just too low.
Yeah, Phil was saying he lost feel of the ball. You know, any problem with that while you were out there today?
Not
Cold
really.
weather or anything like that?
Not really. I mean, it's something that it's going to happen. I mean, we're not perfect.
Does that wild pitch lead to maybe you throwing what happened with Reddick the very next batter, or just 2 separate
He
things?
hit a good pitch.
What did he hit?
Changeup.
He hit your pitch in that situation?
Yeah.
That was a hell of a bat for him anyway. I mean, he battled you, you battled him.
I mean, everybody that is in the big leagues is here for a reason.
Right.
So he making adjustments on me. So what can I say? Tip my hat.
Well, can you just describe how good you feel being lifted up? Everybody feels good for Donnie, but how good it feels you to have your teammates lift you up in a situation like that?
It feels great. I mean, I know I have a lot of success since I'm here, and when it's a bad feeling when you let the team down. But what they did today was unbelievable, and I really feel confident that they're gonna keep doing that later on the playoffs.
All right, up next on Tigers Live, we'll check back in with Mario and John Keating for more on today's game, including a closer look at Avisail Garcia's lethal weapon, and we'll turn our attention to Game 3 when we come back.
Avisail Garcia, one hop strike, cuts down crisp.
And that thwarted what was shaping up to be a big inning for the Oakland A's. We'll send you back to Comerica Park now, where John Keating and Mario Pember are standing by with more on today's game. And guys, as thrilling as Don Kelly's walk-off was, maybe Avisail Garcia's throw to the plate there was the biggest play in today's game. I mean, does he have a permit to carry that gun?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what we'd heard about Garcia long before we got a chance to see him in person, because remember, when this season started, he was in A-ball. And so we'd only heard sort of the myth about Avisail Garcia, and we got to see it up close and in person. Certainly Coco Crisp did here this afternoon.
Yeah, the myth is true. There's no question about that. You know, the Tigers had a decision to make about Avisail Garcia. Will they bring him up at August 1st, which they thought about. They thought about bringing him up at the beginning of August. They thought he needed a little bit more time at AA, but they wanted to get him on the roster before September the 1st to make him eligible for postseason play. And this is what happens when you get young guys in postseason. Sometimes they come up with big plays. We know he's a tools player. We saw his arm today. Hit over 300, John, at the big league level down the stretch here. Great prospect. It's fun to see him shine on the big stage.
And there's a really good chance we'll see him in Game 3 in Oakland on Tuesday, because we believe the A's are going to come back with Brett Anderson, who is doing some coming back of his own.
Yeah, Bob Melvin said he's still kind of a day-to-day thing. He hurt his side when he pitched against the Tigers here in September. They really need him because he...